Welcome back my YouTube channel. Leap Inspire Kaima was the kind of woman people trusted without asking questions. In her village, trust was not given easily, but she carried it quietly, like something she did not need to announce. She woke before dawn to help elderly women fetch water, spoke with gentleness even when tired, and never allowed bitterness to sit on her tongue. People said she was disciplined, but in truth, Chima simply believed that a good heart was a responsibility. To her, marriage was sacred, not a shelter for loneliness, but a promise built on patience, loyalty, and peace. It was Mama Mandisa who first spoke her name into Chima's future. "You are a good woman," the elderly woman said one evening, her voice calm but certain. "My son needs a wife like you, someone who will strengthen him." Chima felt heat rise to her cheeks. She had seen Kojo around the village, strong, hard-working, respected. He was not loud or playful, but people said he was serious about life. Serious men, she believed, made stable husbands. When Mama Mandisa arranged their meeting, Chima imagined slow conversations, careful laughter, the gentle growth of affection. But when Kojo arrived, he greeted her with a stiff nod. His words were few, clipped, and heavy with distance. Each question Chima asked seemed to end instead of open something. Mama Mandisa tried to soften the silence, praising her son's hard work and good character. But Kojo's eyes remained unreadable. There was no warmth in them. Still, Chima told herself he was simply reserved. Kindness, she believed, could unlock any closed heart. The marriage came quickly, too quickly. Mama Mandisa insisted delay would only bring confusion. Chima felt rushed, but trusted the elder woman's wisdom. On her wedding day, as songs filled the air and neighbors smiled, Chima noticed something that unsettled her deeply. Kojo did not smile. He stood through the ceremonies like a man fulfilling an obligation, not beginning a life. That night, Chima sat beside him, her voice gentle but hopeful. "I am your wife now," she said softly. "Let us start well. Tell me what you want from this marriage so I can be a good partner to you." Kojo looked at her for a long moment, then spoke without emotion. "Do what you were brought here to do. Keep the house, stay out of my way." The words tightened around her throat. She forced herself to breathe. "If I have offended you, please tell me," she whispered. "I want peace between us." He stood, removed his shoes, and replied coldly, "You have not offended me, but do not expect anything from me that I did not promise." Chima sat on the edge of the bed, feeling smaller than she ever had in her life. She had entered marriage believing love could grow with time. Yet, on her very first night, she felt like a visitor who had stayed too long. Still, she chose hope over fear. "His heart will change," she told herself silently. "I will be patient. I will love him well." She did not know that Kojo's coldness was not a phase, it was a foundation. And the home she had entered with faith would soon teach her the cost of loving alone. From the first weeks of marriage, Chima understood that her home was not a place of rest. Each morning she rose before the sun, her body moving on habit and hope. She swept the compound, fetched water, prepared meals, and arranged the house carefully before Kojo left for the farm. She worked with intention, believing effort would earn appreciation. Instead, her labor disappeared into silence. Kojo never thanked her. When the food was ready early, he complained that she rushed him. When it was late, he accused her of laziness. If she greeted him kindly, he ignored her. If she asked about his day, he said she talked too much. Her presence irritated him simply because it existed. One evening, Chima placed his meal before him and remained nearby, hoping they might eat together like husband and wife. "Why are you still standing there?" Kojo asked without lifting his eyes. "I thought we could eat together," she replied softly. He pushed the bowl away. "I do not need company to eat. Do your own thing." Chima nodded and stepped back, swallowing the ache rising in her chest. That night, Kojo turned his back to her in bed, leaving a space between them that felt wider than the room itself. Chima stared at the ceiling, reminding herself that marriage required endurance. She told herself love was not proven by comfort, but by sacrifice. As days passed, Kojo's words sharpened. He compared her to other women in the village, saying they were smarter, prettier, or more useful. He criticized how she spoke, how she walked, even how she greeted visitors. When she tried to explain herself, he accused her of disrespect. Slowly, Chima learned that silence was safer than defense. She carried her pain to Mama Mandisa, hoping for guidance. "Be patient," her mother-in-law said each time. "Kojo is stubborn, not wicked. Marriage changes men slowly." "But he does not speak to me kindly at all," Chima once whispered. "He treats me like a burden." Mama Mandisa sighed. "Give him time. He will come around." Chima held on to those words like a lifeline. Each visit ended with renewed determination. She cooked better meals, worked longer hours, avoided arguments, and reduced her needs to nothing. Yet Kojo's behavior only worsened. He stopped eating her food unless his mother was present. He stayed out late and returned without explanation, his silence heavier than anger. One afternoon, Chima overheard women whispering nearby. "She is married, but she lives like a servant," one said quietly. Chima pretended not to hear, but the words cut deeply. Still, she defended Kojo whenever anyone spoke against him. "He is under pressure," she said. "He will change." At night, alone with her thoughts, doubt crept in. What am I doing wrong? Why does my husband hate me without reason? Yet every morning, she rose again, choosing patience over bitterness. She believed endurance was strength. Then one day, she decided to try again, one last time, with kindness. She remembered a meal Kojo once mentioned liking before their marriage. Back when his voice had sounded almost normal, she prepared it carefully, step by step, imagining his face softening, imagining one kind word. When Kojo returned, she greeted him with a gentle smile. "I made your favorite meal," she said. "I thought it would help you rest." Kojo looked at the food, suspicion replacing indifference. "Why did you cook this?" "Because you like it," Chima replied. "You said so yourself." His eyes narrowed. "Since when do you care about what I like?" "I have always cared," she said quietly. Without warning, Kojo pushed the bowl away. "Do you think I am foolish? You want to poison me and pretend it is kindness?" The accusation struck her like a blow. "Poison you?" she whispered. "I would never." He lifted the bowl and flung it into her face. Food splashed across her clothes and burned her eyes. "Do not try such tricks again," he said coldly. "I know women like you." He walked out, leaving her trembling in the middle of the room. For a long moment, Chima could not move. Slowly, she washed herself and cleaned the floor. No one came. No one asked. That night, Kojo did not return. When Mama Mandisa saw her swollen eyes the next morning and heard what happened, she only looked away. "Marriage is not easy," she said quietly. "If you respond to every harsh word, you will destroy your home." Something inside Chima broke without sound. That night, lying awake, She asked herself a question she had never dared to form before. How long can a heart endure being treated like an enemy? The illness came without warning, as if Chima's body had finally spoken the pain her mouth had been trained to silence. It began with weakness, a heaviness that clung to her limbs as she moved through the day. By nightfall, her head throbbed violently, and her chest tightened with every breath. Cold sweat soaked her skin. She tried to stand, but her legs failed her, and she collapsed onto the floor, clutching herself as her body shook. Kojo, she called softly, her voice barely more than a breath. Please, help me. He returned late that night. When he stepped inside, he saw her lying on the floor, struggling to breathe. You are blocking the way, he said impatiently. Move aside. I am not well, Chima whispered. Please help me. Kojo glanced at her briefly, then stepped over her, as if she were an object on the ground. Every day, there is something wrong with you, he said. I am tired. He washed his hands, ate, and lay down to sleep. Chima remained on the floor, listening to his breathing grow steady while her own strength faded. By morning, she could barely lift herself, using the wall to stand. With the little strength she had left, she left the house. The journey felt endless. She stopped often, dizziness blurring her vision, until she collapsed at the entrance of Papa Koka's compound. The old healer examined her carefully and shook his head. You were close to death, he said quietly. Another day, and your body would not have survived. Chima stayed under his care for a week. During those days, no one came looking for her. No message arrived. No concern was shown. One evening, Papa Koka asked gently, Does your husband know where you are? Yes, Chima replied. He saw me leave. Then may strength find you where love has failed. When her strength returned, Kaima believed, foolishly, that her absence might have reminded Kojo of her value. She returned home with cautious hope. As she approached the house, laughter drifted through the doorway. Her steps slowed. She pushed the door open and froze. A strange woman stood in her kitchen, stirring food like she belonged there. Kojo sat nearby, his voice soft, relaxed, familiar in a way Chima had never heard. What is going on? Chima asked, her voice trembling. Kojo stood and struck her across the face. Do not question me, he said. You have no right. So this is the wife who ran away. I was sick, Chima whispered. I went for treatment. Get out of my sight, Kojo replied, turning away. Shaking, Chima ran to Mama Mandisa's house. She needed comfort. She needed someone to speak for her. But the house was silent. A neighbor stopped her. Did no one tell you? Mama Mandisa died 3 nights ago. She was buried already. The words hollowed her chest. Chima sank to the ground, her strength draining away. The one person who had repeatedly told her to endure was gone, and she had not even been allowed to mourn. When she returned to Kojo's compound, the truth waited for her. A woman's belongings lined the doorway. Cooking tools she did not recognize rested by the hearth. Kojo faced her with irritation. Why are you still here? He asked. Your mother died, Chima said. Why was I not called back? You left for 7 days, Kojo replied coldly. I told everyone you deserted me. An elderly man passing by stopped. It was Pomelos, one of the respected elders. He listened, then spoke gently. When Mama Mandisa died, Kojo told the elders he had no wife. According to custom, a man must bury his mother with his wife present. Since he claimed you were gone, the elders advised him to take another wife so the burial could proceed. Chima's heart tightened. Another wife? Yes, Pomelos said quietly. He married her that same week. And why her? Chima asked, her voice empty. Pomulus hesitated. Asanda was the woman Kojo always wanted. Mama Mendisa opposed the union because their families were sworn enemies. She vowed he would never marry Asanda while she lived. The truth settled like a weight on Kima's soul. So I was chosen to block her, Kima whispered. Pomulos nodded. Kojo said nothing. He simply turned and walked away. In that moment, Chima understood everything. Her marriage had never been built on love or choice. It had been a barrier. Now that the barrier was gone, so was her place. For the first time since her wedding day, Chima did not cry. She felt only a frightening emptiness, as if her heart had finally grown tired of breaking. The night felt quieter than ever, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Everything that had been broken now stood face to face with the truth. The pain, the mistakes, the long silence, they all gathered in that moment. Tears came, not loud, not dramatic, but honest, the kind that finally lets the heart breathe. What once felt like an ending slowly revealed itself as a beginning. Forgiveness did not erase the past, but it softened it. Love, wounded but not dead, found its way back through small gestures, trembling words, and shared silence. The weight that had lived inside for so long began to lift, piece by piece. By dawn, something had changed. The fear was still there, but it no longer controlled the soul. Hope stood quietly, fragile yet real. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, it did not feel lonely. Sometimes healing does not arrive with celebration. Sometimes it arrives with peace. And in that calm, a new chapter of life began, not written in perfection, but in courage, faith, and the simple promise to keep going, no matter what.